Hello, welcome to the chat room. Thank you for joining us. I'm called Rebecca. I'm your host today. We're going to chat about money lending in Uganda. And we are joined by Albert Muhumza. He's a lawyer, and he's going to discuss about money lending in Uganda. Welcome to the show, Albert.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay. What is money lending, briefly?
So briefly, money lending, as understood by everyone, is the action of lending someone money. But within our jurisdiction currently, Uganda, we now have two different types of money lending.
Okay.
We have money lending as a business, and then money lending as between two colleagues, which we term friendly loans these days. So money lending as a business must be done by a company incorporated in Uganda and licensed to do it. So that is the business side of it.
Yes.
The friendly loans between friends, if someone is stuck somewhere and they want 10 million or so and they approach a friend, that can still be done.
Yes.
So under the law, as governed by the law, money lending as a business, the only difference between it and a friendly loan is the business perspective of it.
Yes.
We have had interpretations of courts.
Yes.
Interestingly, we have two different judgments.
Yes.
One by His Lordship Wamala Boniface and another by Her Lordship Esther Nambayo, released on in the same month but 2 days apart.
Yes.
Giving two distinct understandings of what money lending as a business is. So as a business, the moment you charge interest on a loan,
yes,
it becomes a business. Now, for you to be able to charge interest, you must be a company licensed
and licensed.
Yes, and licensed by the Microfinance Regulatory Authority.
Yes.
So if you're not licensed and you're not a company, you cannot charge interest. The moment you charge interest, it becomes a business. So now that is money lending as a business.
As a business, yeah.
For a friendly loan, for as long as there's no interest charged, then you can still conduct money lending. You can give your friend 10 million and you must expect back
10 million.
Nothing more, nothing less.
That's well understood, yeah.
Yes. However, there's a slight distinction between the judgments.
Okay.
The commercial court judgment allows you to charge interest on a delayed payment in a friendly loan.
Oh.
So if you give your friend a loan of 10 million and you say, this loan, pay me back within 2 months. However, if you fail to pay me back within 2 months, I will charge interest on the defaulted amount.
Okay.
So the defaulted amount is not the loan, if you read and understand this judgment. So you can charge interest on the defaulted amount.
Okay.
That is that is the leeway that has been given.
And however, there's no parameter on how much interest can be charged, is there?
There is. So in the interpretation of this, we have a set parameter that is given by Bank of Uganda for loans, which is for a commercial loan, it is in between 18 and 32%.
Yes.
So courts will normally give, they have that discretion to determine how much interest should be charged. However, that is if it goes to the courts.
Yes.
They will interpret exorbitant interest rates as unconscionable and enter within that agreement and have it align with what is the norm between 18 and 32. For a friendly loan, if it is still unconscionable, because some people you could say, if you default, I'm now going to start charging 50% per month.
That is over and above.
Yeah, that is over and above, yes. And courts still now have the discretion to enter into this understanding in between the two of you and revise the interest to meet the standards that have been set.
Thank you so much for that. And so, Council, what are the requirements for getting a money lender's license? You've already mentioned the that you have to be a company incorporated. Are there any other particular requirements?
Beyond incorporation of a company, there's the form, the application form to the Microfinance Regulatory Authority. So you have to go through the process of applying, of incorporating the company, and then simply use the same documentation and fill out the application form to the regulatory authority. The license fees are paid after you have been approved
by the authority.
So the very first license, if the authority notifies you that we have approved you for a license, that is when you pay the licensing fees. The registration fees, of course, those have to be paid as you're submitting the documents. The license fees after you have been approved.
Okay. Let's go slightly back to the issue of the interest, because I know there is a little bit of a difference between the interest as a business lender and a friendly loan. So could you help us to explain that further?
So for a person carrying out money lending as a business, you are free to charge interest the moment you enter an agreement for money lending. So the moment I come and say I would like to borrow 10 million from you, I can then say that yes, you can borrow the 10 million at an interest rate of say 6% or 5%. However, for a friendly loan, you cannot charge interest the moment we say that you're getting the loan. So if you're borrowing 3 million and we say borrow 3 million and pay it back in say
2 months,
you have to pay 3 million. However, the current interpretation with the commercial court, the judgment of Wamala Boniface, His Lordship Wamala Boniface, allows you to charge interest after the default. So when you default, that is possibly when you could levy an interest on the defaulted amount, but not before.
But not before. Not
so
at the time of borrowing.
So the two judgments are in line to the fact that you cannot charge interest the moment someone is borrowing money.
However, if they default, you can put a little bit of an interest for them to
pay back the money.
Okay, that's well understood. Thank you so much for that clarification. There is another question that is about defaulting. So if I default as a borrower for a money lender's a commercial money lender, what remedies are there for the commercial money lender to recover money from me?
So by law, a commercial money lender can recover their money by realizing the security of submitted without actually having to go through the court process. But there's a waiting period. So if I default on my payment, the money lender has to issue me a demand notice. And that demand notice has to run for a period of 60 days.
That's like 2 months.
That's like 2 months. So if after the 60 days have expired and I have not made my payments, then the money lender can realize the security. So if you've pledged land, then the money lender can sell that land. But there's still a procedure. The money lender has to, first of all, value that land, determine a forced sale value of that land. And he cannot sell the land below that value. And it has to be by public auction. So if I want to sell your land after the 2 months have expired, you have not paid, I value the land, determine a forced sale value, then do it by public auction. Public auction is more or less inviting the public, so there has to be an advert
in the papers.
So the money lender has to do that twice. If I put out the advert the first time and I fail to get buyers at the first sale value, I must do it again. And if after the second time I've not gotten buyers at the first sale value, the money lender is now permitted to sell the property below the first sale value.
I see. Because sometimes you just fail to get buyers. What about if it's a friendly loan and I gave you, let's say, my laptop and I failed to pay back? So what can be done?
So now it goes back to the agreement between
Yes.
the two parties.
Yeah.
If we have agreed that if I fail to pay back this money, you are at liberty to sell my laptop or the security I've pledged, then the person can go ahead and sell it.
Okay.
However, if that agreement is not there, then you need a court order to be able to sell someone else's property.
Yes.
So you have to go through the entire recovery process.
Even as an individual lender, a friendly loan.
Yes, if you've given a friendly loan and
Yeah.
you don't have the clause that permits you to sell,
Yes.
then you have to go through court to
The
ensure
entire
that you,
procedure
yes,
until.
yes, exactly, to get the authority to sell someone else's property.
Can one ask for a security in a friendly loan, or is it only limited to commercial lenders?
Yes,
Okay.
they can give you that security.
Uh-huh.
But to realize that security now still comes back and to the agreement between the two parties.
Yeah.
Has this security been given by a guarantor? Has it been given directly to secure the loan? So all those are considerations within, but yes, security can be given.
Yeah.
Although the law now limits it. It limits it for money lenders that are running it as a business, but the same can be extended to friendly loans. You can't expect
someone to give you 10 million and no security at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the rules governing money lenders can be extended to friendly loans. You cannot, for say, take someone's ID. You cannot take someone's ATM card and the PIN number. You cannot take signed transfer forms.
Yes.
So that is those rules still
are
extend.
limited to.
Yes. So you can have a land. You can place your land as security. You can place your car as security, laptops, all these things. Yes.
Yeah. So there is someone who is seeking for clarification on what securities one should ask for and shouldn't ask for. You hinted on the national IDs and things like that, but are there other securities one shouldn't ask for? Yes.
So you cannot ask for an ID, a passport. For in our case, our ULS ID, you can't ask for that as security. The second category is pre-sale agreements.
Yes.
So you cannot make someone sign transfer forms as security, that if you don't pay back, then I simply lodge the transfer forms. No.
But that's a very, very usual occurrence.
Yes. So that has been happening a lot with money lenders prior to the coming into force of this law. You go to a money lender and you would say, you are pledging land, please sign over the transfer form. You're pledging your car, sign the transfer documents for the car. You fail to pay, I simply transfer it to me.
Yeah.
The third is in relation to someone's accounts, books of account. You cannot ask someone to hand over their books of account. You can't ask someone to hand over their ATM cards. But for the Tier 4 money microfinance and money lenders act, those are the specific ones that you cannot ask for.
Yes.
Beyond that, it is open. You can ask for land, security, but then that brings into force, say, the mortgage act. Depending on how you've structured your agreements. If it is something long term, then the mortgage act comes in. If you can pledge a car, you can pledge laptops, you can pledge so very many other things. For as long as you do not touch those three, then the rest can be pledged as security. Okay.
So I hope our viewers, you've picked that up, because it's a very, very important point. So I know that there are various offenses that the law brings out in terms of money lending and regulations to money lenders. Perhaps you could shed more light on that for our viewers to understand it better.
Specifically one major offense.
Yes.
And that is operating as a money lender without a money lending license. So that is the major offense within the act. However, once you have obtained the license, then you must then operate in accordance with the law. So the moment you start charging, the moment you start obtaining security that is not as authorized by the law, then it is an offense. So the moment you ask someone to sign over transfer forms as security, then it is an offense.
Yes.
There are no prison terms. There's no imprisonment under there's no imprisonment under the act. What is there is fines. So if you charge security that is not supposed to be charged, for the very first occasion that you do that, the fine is 4 million. The next occasion is 8 million. So it rotates around the fines.
Yes.
So if those are the major offenses: operating outside without the license, and charge and obtaining securities that is not authorized by the law.
Yes.
And then money lenders are required to have certain obligations. They are required to, first of all, ensure that the contracts are written.
Okay.
So there are no longer verbal contracts between a money lender and a person who wants to borrow. There is a format for the contract, money lending contract.
Yes.
So that has to be explained and given to
the borrower.
Secondly, the money lender is not supposed to input hidden costs. They can't operate as a bank.
So let's talk about self-help groups or investment clubs, which most of us are members of, and we come together as friends, we put money together, and the plan is to help one another whenever we're in tough times. Are these classified under the money lender's licenses, or can we term them as friendly loans as well?
So the Bubina command, that is the common term that we use, recognized under the law and are actually encouraged, but they are termed as self-help groups under the law. So these, for these, they are restricted to the membership within the self-help group.
Yes.
So they can loan money to their members, they can charge interest from their members, they can obtain security if they want to, depending on how they decide to operate.
Yes.
But they must be registered. And the registration is not as a money lenders or as a company, but simply a registration with the community development officer of a district.
Okay.
So once that is done, then they can fully operate with their governance structure clearly outlined and registered, and their goals.
Yes.
What they cannot do is lend outside their group. Once there is a desire to lend outside the group, then they cannot charge someone else interest. Yes. So the moment you charge interest, you then enter the arena of commercial money
lender.
Yes. So they can loan money out to friends of friends that are within the groups, but you cannot charge those the third party interest. Yes. But members within can decide, I'll shoulder the interest, borrow the money, and loan it out as a friendly loan, but not charge interest.
Yes.
So the main crux of the law is on interest. The moment there is interest, it becomes a commercial transaction.
Yes.
And therefore it must be licensed, it must be governed by something.
Yes.
So interest is what forms a money lending business.
I understand.
So self-help groups, it's a group that is well governed, well known, registered, and so you can lend to the people within and charge those people in there a reasonable interest, depending on how the group has decided to operate. Yes.
Let's take a commercial break for now. Welcome back to the chat room. I've got a personal question about borrowing from someone, and then when I go to pay back, I find them gone, or I call them and they don't pick up my calls. What
Yes.
happens in that instance?
So that actually happened quite a lot. We have very famous cases and people that have done that, which
Yeah.
I'll not mention, but lenders actually sometimes disappear from you, especially intentionally
Yeah.
disappear from you. And I think it's mostly because they may be interested more in your security than the getting the money back.
Yeah.
So if I've borrowed 700 million against a property located in Kamocha, Koto Street,
Yes.
the value of that property is higher
Yes.
than the what?
Than
the
the
loan.
700 million. Yeah.
Exactly. So if a lender is interested in your property, they will issue the demand and simply disappear from you. But there is a way out. So if you have the money, you borrowed the money, you're willing to pay, you want to pay.
Yes.
You get your money, try and reach the lender. The lender is required to have premises.
Yes.
So these premises are inspected by the regulatory authority. They are required to be open from a certain time to a certain time, 8 to 5.
Yes.
So if you fail to find the lender at his premises, or they have locked their premises, that in itself is also an offense, because you're supposed to notify the regulator that you are closed, your office is closed, or you have moved your office.
Yes.
So if you can't find them there, then the law has given you a way out that you can now get this money and take it to Microfinance Regulatory Authority. Tell them that I have borrowed money from this money lender. They will definitely have a record of this money lender and the license and everything, and they will receive that money and issue you a receipt.
Wow.
So in the event that now the money lender attempts to sell, you have your receipt and you show that your money is now at the regulator. Please go claim your money, leave the property alone.
Okay. Can there be anything else they can do? Like, I don't know.
If they insist on selling the property, then that becomes a court case. More or less, it's now a court case, because that is a sale without a backing.
Yes.
If you're selling my property without a court order, then you're violating my right to have that property.
Yes.
So then I can go and redeem that right in the courts of law.
Okay. If I've given my security of land, and the lender, if I fail to pay, the lender sells it at a higher price than the money I had borrowed, shouldn't he return to me the money that is over and above the money that I borrowed after he has recovered his fees?
Yes, by law, money lenders are required to return any excess amount of money they have received in realizing the property. If, say, we borrow 20 million and the security pledged is land, and the money lender sells this land, say, at about 40 million, of course, the market changes depending on the circumstances. So the money lender is required to then deduct his 20 million and any other reasonable expenses he has incurred in realizing the property.
Yes.
Say there is a newspaper advert, there's a brokerage fee, but these expenses are easily provable. Because for a newspaper advert, there's definitely a receipt issued to you. For a broker's fees, there's a brokerage agreement. Although we do make mistakes with brokers, that we do this by word of mouth, but there has to be something to prove that there's a certain percentage of fee that is going to be paid to this broker. So those reasonable fees that have been incurred can then also be deducted from the money realized.
Yes.
After that, any money that is remaining must be returned to the lender.
To the borrower.
Yes. So the borrower must receive that money.
Yes.
If the lender fails or declines or forgets to return that money, then that becomes an offense under the act.
Yes.
Because and the repercussions could lead to your license being revoked or suspended, or can even lead to something bigger than that. If the borrower then decides that, you've sold my property for higher than its market value, you've sold it for 40 million, then the borrower is at liberty to actually pursue their rights and recover the money beyond which
through the courts of law.
Through the courts of law.
Yes.
The regulatory authority also has the ability to hear some of these matters and demand or instruct the moneylender to return
the borrower's money,
in addition to penalties that may be levied upon you, costs and damages that may be levied upon you as the lender.
Yes.
So it is always advisable that you do business in accordance with the law and with good business practice.
Yes.
If you've recovered your money and your costs and there's an excess, return that money. If you fail, then more or less you're now in the field of being a fraudster.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much, Council Albert. We've been privileged to share all this with you. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. To our dear viewers, thank you for joining us today on the chat room. It's been very good hosting you. I hope you've learned enough information and gathered enough information about money lending in Uganda. To the borrowers, please do not be duped. To the lenders, please ensure you practice within the confines of the law and to avoid your licenses being revoked or even worse penalties. Until next time, thank you so much for joining us.